I'm Theodore Leaf here at the Sally Hirschberger Salon in Los Angeles. Haircutting is a huge part of our business, and bangs are totally on trend right now. Bangs are great because they look sexy, it's an instant change, and what I love about it is it gets clients in the salon more often. I'm going to show you how you can make more money with bang trims on this installment of Turning Trends into Money. I have my model Angela here, and she has this amazing curly texture. And of course, I can't wait to shampoo it, blow dry it, and flat iron it because I want to give her a really great mid-length kind of bob feeling and then do a beautiful fringe that's really versatile. I look at a model like Angela and I say, this is a perfect opportunity to introduce her to the trend of bangs. I look at her face shape, she's perfect for it. She has a little bit higher of a forehead, so when you put that fringe in there, it just changes her look immediately. Very, very versatile haircut that will also look fantastic when it's curly. But it's important for me to do this haircut with really smooth, really straight hair so I get a perfect shape in there, and that way when it curls, it has a really nice uniformity. So I'm gonna have her shampooed right now and we're gonna get started. The first haircut is this really chic mid-length bob. And what I love about mid-length is it's high maintenance. So people actually have to come in and get it cut more often. That's money in your pocket. Now I'm ready to flat iron. This is important. I have two flat irons heated up. This is a really thin 1-inch one, and this one's a little bit wider. I use this one for the mid shaft and ends, and this one is really close to get in with the roots. I'm gonna create a parting down the center. Now I like to start in the back when I'm flat ironing. Now I'm gonna take one section and clip that over. And that's my section that I'm not working with. Now I'm gonna create another section, and this is actually almost like a small triangle. It's very important to get these little bits. And I'm gonna clip that out of the way. And I use a small amount of a little bit of a lightweight hold hairspray. Now I'm using the fine tooth part of the comb, and I'm gonna start my flat iron with this very small section. I kind of pulse it. And because I'm sectioned this way, I can get these little tiny hairs nice and smooth. And now, got that smooth, I'm gonna take my next section. If you're doing a really clean flat iron for a haircut like this, I always say the section should be thin enough that you can read the newspaper through. It's very important to take thin sections so that you have complete control. When someone's hair is naturally curly, it's very important to do a nice clean finish. When you take those big honkin' get me out of here fast sections, it's just not as clean and you don't get as nice of an end result. So I'm just spraying a little bit, very lightly, and like 6 to 12 inches away from the hair for sure, just so that it doesn't get wet, very important. And if you're noticing any sort of steam coming off the hair, that's just because you're working with hairspray and you're heating it up. But this will keep it nice and silky for the entire haircut, and obviously when she leaves the salon looking amazing. So now I'm working my way up the head. Again, still very, very clean sections. Once you cut the hair, you barely have to style it. So I'm just basically doing all the styling now. Moving to the front, I'm gonna create a section. Again, very, very small. And then I'm gonna tuck that up. Missed it a little bit. Right by the ear. Again, very similar technique. Be careful of the ear. Using the comb, nice smooth tension all the way down to the ends. And then I'm just gonna repeat that. When it's around the ear, I like to take very, very small sections, and I'd rather have 3 small sections than 1 big one. And then just nice and smooth. And you're wanting to smooth it towards the face. So right there. And again, I did a nice blow dry so I don't have too many small curly hairs to deal with. And it's important that there's no other hair in the way. Now I'm taking this very small section, putting it in my comb, dragging all the way down to the ends, releasing it. And then if you have really small hairs, you can just sort of tap them a little bit, nice and clean. Now what I'm doing is creating a really nice clean spot for my fringe to go in. Obviously the fringe isn't there yet, but it's kind of important to get all that hair going down because that's where we're gonna have it live when I actually cut it. It's important to plan out your styling when you're doing a dry haircut and really prep the hair for the haircut rather than a style. It's a whole different way of thinking. Just another little mist here. Now the great thing about this haircut is it's gonna look amazing straight and flat ironed and have a great, beautiful movement and swing. But when it's curly, it's also gonna have a really strong shape that'll look fantastic curly. And when her bangs are down, she can either smooth them out and do like smooth bangs and curly hair, or she could braid them out of the way. And these are things that I always tell my clients when they're doing something that they would think would be less versatile, like bangs or something like that. The great thing about a fringe or bangs, whatever you call it, is it's more high maintenance. People have to come in to get it trimmed to make sure that it's always looking good. And when people come into your salon more often, it's a better opportunity to make more money. All right, her hair is all smooth, gorgeous, nice shine, really workable, the texture is. So I'm actually gonna start her bangs now. I'm gonna start tucking her hair behind their ears. Now you'll notice there's a line here that's been started. This is my section. I'm just gonna clean that up by creating a triangular section right around the fringe area. And instead of using clips, I'm just gonna tuck this nice smooth hair behind her ear. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, clean that section up. Okay, so then I'm gonna tuck that. Looking up, make sure that your client keeps their head really clean and nice and level at this point rather than forward or backward, because you want her fringe area to be laying where it's gonna live. And what that means is it's sitting where it's normally gonna be sitting most of the time. I'm using my smaller shears because I wanna use some texture with the technique. And I like to start right from this center line down this way and start from the center and work my way out. Get a nice manageable section, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of length. I'm not using too much tension, but the comb is gliding through here, so it's just keeping everything together. And then I'm gonna point cut at an angle, making deep notches as I go. And this irregularity that you're noticing, that's what keeps it really modern and cool. And then you kind of see how it bounces up. Still way too long. It's just sort of, I call it the warm up. You just kind of get it warmed up a little bit. Sometimes I even have to refinish the bangs because when the length changes, the texture changes on the ends. So if you notice, those look a little straight. As I'm trimming the bangs, I'll grab the flat iron and re-smooth the ends because now they're laying in a completely different spot. Look how much different that looks. When you put the bevel on it, it looks fantastic. Now I'm gonna leave it a little bit longer on this side. So I'm just gonna drop my angle down to the right. Again, same technique. And I don't pull them out very much because I want them to stay a little heavier. You can always take the hair out, you can't put it back in. So now when you move it, you can see that it's a little heavy right there. So that little spot that was hitting by the eye shouldn't be as much of an angle. So I'm gonna adjust that, take a little bit of that length out. Now the curve is further over. I'm gonna balance it by just point cutting on the edges. You're really just joining the two pieces. Now, I'm gonna take my flat iron and do the same thing that I did in the center, right on the side. I'm not curling them under, not under. Just the slightest bevel changes everything and makes them way more modern. Now I'm gonna join the other side as well, using the same technique of dropping my angle down now to the left. This creates that angle. Deep point cutting. And now joining this as well. I re-flat iron it because the texture is so much different on the ends when you finish a look. And now when the ends have gone from here to here, things change so drastically that you need to balance it. That's why I re-flat iron it. Now again, my angle was a little heavy, obviously. And then I'm gonna blend this last corner. So that keeps it long on the sides. So this side is not flat ironed and this side is. So it's nice and clean here. See how much different the texture is once you smooth it out? That's why that's important to do while you're cutting rather than at the end. So I'm just gonna go back in, smooth this out, and get this fringe really even. All right, now that I've smoothed that out, I'm just gonna balance this angle. Using my deep point cutting. I love the bangs trend. It's such an easy way to really change someone's look. People obsess over it forever and then they finally do it and they love it. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling the hair out, checking for balance. And then you also want to introduce the rest of the hair so you can see how that's going to look. Cute. The fringe is finished. Now it is time to get these ends in order, do a nice length change, and then give her fabulous texture around the face. I'm gonna start in the back. I'm just gonna get my little comb balance here. What I do is I just let the comb sit on top of the head. Where it balances in the center is where I'm gonna make my section. It's usually just above the ear when you separate it. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Perfect. Now you can see all that irregular length, all that good stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna visually check where I want it to be in the front, just with my eye. Pretty much she's not gonna lose much length in the front here. It's more about balancing the length in the back and the length in the front. So I'm looking at it, it's gonna go up about 1.5 inches. Now again, just like the fringe, I like to start in the center, tuck that away. Nice and clean. This is why it's gotta be finished beautifully. You've gotta be able to get a comb through it. It has to be nice and consistent. So I'm just gonna take this down, and very similar to the technique with the fringe, just really deep point cutting. What that is I'm going in and creating notches. This is what I describe a texturized haircut to be, is lots of deep point cutting. So then when it falls, it's diffused. Now, because she has very, very curly hair, I don't want to cut a straight line in her hair at all. I want to keep it nice and loose using the texturizing techniques. Now, I'm moving my body with the hair. You don't want to stand over here and cut the hair because you're going to end up with a slant. You're always moving. Now we're to the side, and I'm just doing the same exact thing. I don't have a lot of tension here because I would not want all that hair to spring back up. It's just nice and soft, sort of cutting it where it lives. Walking around, making sure there's no inconsistencies. This is just your baseline. We're gonna add some layers in a moment. The great thing about this haircut is just to get the line in, you don't have to subsection it because it's dry, it's nice and smooth. It doesn't benefit you at all to do that. You just get it nice and clean. Step away, check your balance. You don't want it to be straight broomstick. You want it to be nice and edgy. Now what I'm gonna do is join in the side. All that hair that was going back is now going to the side. And like I told you, it's really not a lot of hair is gonna leave the front. So I'm gonna step here. What we're doing is this is the back and this is how little we're actually cutting towards the front because her back was so much drastically longer. Same thing right there, just a little nip. Now I can just glide my comb through and join the front to the back. Again, doing the deep point cutting technique. And I'm just holding the hair out just slightly and I'm not using a lot of tension. Now what I do is I spin her forward, step away, check your balance. Now, just as I did with the bangs, I'm just gonna tap the ends with the flat iron because we took off a little bit. So I just wanna assess that very quickly, just a quick little pass on the iron, just on the mid part to the ends, just so that you can see it come together. That's looking good. I'm now going to add a few layers to the back. I'm just gonna take a 1-inch vertical section starting from the top of the head down to the base of the hair. Nice and clean. And I'm using a comb that doesn't have very much tension, and that's where I'm gonna blend. So I'm gonna take my same technique, and this is just gonna reduce weight, add some movement, and just the slightest amount of layer. It's not a big layer that you see, it's more a feeling. Then I'm just gonna drop that, it's gonna join. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take a small section from the side that's not been cut, a section from the side I just cut, and using a traveling guide, I'm gonna step around the head. You can see my guide right in there. I'm gonna blend that to my guide, point cutting. Going in deeper where I see weight, and then repeating the same exact thing right over here. And I just use the shoulder to tuck the hair out of the way. Same thing. Now, never cut if you can't see your guide, but there's my guide, flapping the hair up that I'm cutting. And I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. What I kind of do is I dance back and forth with the shears, just making sure that there's nothing popping out, but it's a nice, soft texture. What soft means is that it's not a straight line. Texture to me is deep point cutting, softness, hair that moves. Texture obviously is also referring to someone's own hair texture, but when you're talking about a haircut and you're telling a client that you want to add some texture, by all means define that for them. Texture means movement, it means softness, it means when you put a little paste in it, it's got a good edge. All right, the back is where I want it. Right around there, I just want to add a little bit more face framing layers. So I'm going to take a diagonal section, again, from the top of the head, pretty much to right below where we added her fringe. I'm gonna travel that across the head, and I'm gonna use the same technique. Just chipping into that with those deep point cuts. And then I just drop that back over. And now you've got just that great movement right around the face. And then I'm gonna join the same amount of hair over, traveling guide. and you're gonna end up taking almost no hair because nothing's gonna meet up to your guide. What that means is that it's long enough that it's dropping out of what you're doing, which is all fine and well. And then I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. It's like the fastest thing ever. Now I step in front of the client, check for accuracy. It's a very free-form looking haircut, but when you actually go in and check it, it's very precise. This is the part where I tell the client the hard work is done, and now we're just gonna have a little bit of fun. So I'm just gonna take a section, very similar to the way I do my layers, lift it up, and just take in some really deep cuts. And you're not taking length, you're just taking weight. And then when you run your comb through there, all that little hair just shoots right out. And what's great about that is it just adds nice movement. Like I said, she's got a lot of hair. It's gonna make it more versatile. And you're not creating a shape here. You're only taking out little bits of weight and then just letting that go. Same thing around here. You can do that all the way through the back. Just take it up. Deep cut into there, just slightly. You don't want to over texturize or you'll lose the entire shape and it won't be any fun. I'm gonna chip into the bangs a little bit, create some more movement. I got the length where I wanted it. Now, she has really curly hair, as you know. I did this haircut knowing that it's gonna look really great when it's curly. It's gonna look obviously fantastic when it's straight. And at home, she can blow dry flat iron it. She can book a blow dry and a flat iron in the salon, wear that for a few days. It's really nice and versatile. Things are looking fantastic. I'm just gonna use a little bit of a paste. And it's really important to finish your work so it's a showstopper. First of all, because you want her to be happy. Second of all, you want all the girls at the front desk to go crazy about it so that the next time the phone rings, they recommend you because you just did one of the hottest haircuts in the salon. Lay your head back for me. Having her lay her head back while I apply the product just so that I don't lose any volume. Just kind of twist it out, push that forward. Now this product just really shows off the layers. I always love just to make sure that my work is being shown off when it leaves the chair. If you're ever using a texturizing product, you want to use it in the bangs just at the end, once you've worked most of it off. You're getting a major impact with a haircut like this, the bangs, the straightness, the beautiful texture. But as you look at this haircut and the way that it moves, you can imagine when it's curly, it's gonna be gorgeous. Time to take this cape off. It's always so different when you actually see it on the body. Yes, move that hair. She looks happy, and I can tell you what, she's absolutely gonna be turning heads with this look. She looks really fantastic, totally on trend, and she is gonna send me new business. When you see the complete end result, it's a major, major makeover. But at the end of the day, it's really just shampooing, conditioning, blow drying, flat ironing, and doing a really specific haircut that will look fantastic on everyone. And I'm sure you can picture a lot of your clients wearing this look as well. What a dramatic change. I can't wait for you to switch things up with your own clients. For more inspiration, check out the Milady Education Network.